An Iranian helicopter, built before most of its crew was even born, swoops toward one of the most advanced warships on Earth. Its mission? Force a U.S. destroyer to retreat and prove Iran still controls these waters. But what happens next shows that sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't a missile. It's pure embarrassment. Inside the USS Fitzgerald, sailors watch their radar screens in disbelief. The Aegis system, designed to track ballistic missiles in space, is now locked onto what looks like a flying museum piece. This isn't a showdown of equals. It's a Cold War relic facing off against a billion-dollar titan of naval warfare. And yet, both sides are about to walk away claiming victory. Act 1. The approach. It's 10:50 in the morning in the Arabian Gulf. A faint buzz rises over the water. At first, it's nothing. Just the sound of distant rotors beating the hot desert air. But inside the USS Fitzgerald's Combat Information Center, sailors are already tracking it. On their radar screens, the blip appears. An Iranian Navy helicopter, wobbling toward them like a flying relic. Its mission is bold: force an American destroyer to change course and prove to the world that Iran still rules these waters. But to the crew of the Fitzgerald, the whole thing feels surreal. The most advanced radar system on Earth, designed to hunt ballistic missiles in space, is now focused on what looks like a museum piece limping across the sky. This isn't a duel, it's a joke. A creaking 1970s airframe versus a billion-dollar titan of modern naval warfare. And yet, both sides are about to walk away calling it a victory. Act 2. A flying relic meets a floating fortress. The Iranian helicopter is old, very old, bought from America decades earlier, back when disco was still popular, and before Iran's revolution flipped the script. Its APN-130 Doppler radar is Vietnam War-era technology. Its engines wheeze. The cyclic stick rattles from bearings that should have been replaced in the 1990s. Warning lights flicker across the dash, most of them long disconnected. But still, Tehran has ordered it into the skies. Its role? Gather intelligence, intimidate, and film propaganda. The playbook is recycled straight from the 1980s tanker wars. Use small, expendable assets to harass larger ships. Hope the Americans overreact. Spin the footage into a David versus Goliath victory. The only problem? This Goliath isn't a defenseless merchant tanker. The USS Fitzgerald is an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. 10,000 tons of steel powered by 4 roaring gas turbines producing 100,000 shaft horsepower. It carries 90 vertical launch missile cells. Its Aegis combat system can track over 100 targets simultaneously and guide dozens of missiles in flight. Against a Cold War relic moving at 140 knots, the mismatch isn't just obvious. It's absurd. Inside the CIC, the Fitzgerald's computers assign the approaching helicopter a track number: 0341. Priority? Negligible. Engagement solutions? 47 different ways to turn it into scrap metal. In wartime, the whole exchange would last 30 seconds. Spy radar locks. Fire control radar illuminates. One button press later, and the helicopter is aluminum rain falling into the sea. But this isn't wartime. Not today. Instead, the Americans watch and listen. Act 3. The intelligence jackpot. Every time the Iranian crew switches on their radar, every time they hit the radio, the Fitzgerald's electronic warfare suite quietly records it. Think of it like a fingerprint scanner for electromagnetic signals. Pulse repetition rates, frequencies, signal strength, all of it captured. Each emission becomes a data point in America's threat library. Next time US forces encounter this helicopter type, their jammers will know exactly which signals to spoof, which frequencies to blind, which radars to overwhelm. In other words, the Iranians are teaching the Americans how to defeat them, one button press at a time, and the Fitzgerald's crew? They treat it like Christmas morning. Act 4. The struggle in the sky. Meanwhile, inside the Iranian helicopter, reality sets in. The cyclic stick vibrates violently. Oil pressure drops into the red. Fuel gauges fall fast as they fight to keep pace with a destroyer cruising at 30 knots. The crew chief does the math. 45 minutes of fuel left, maybe less. That's assuming the engines don't quit first. The General Electric T-58s powering the chopper once produced 1,400 horsepower each, when they were new, back when Lyndon B. Johnson was president. Now, they cough and sputter like a retiree climbing stairs. Still, the pilot presses on. He dives low, banking toward the Fitzgerald in what he believes is an aggressive attack profile. The airframe groans, its rivets rattling as it drops to 500 feet. This is classic Iranian harassment. Fly low, appear threatening, make close passes. If the Americans respond, claim innocence over civilian radio frequencies. If they don't, claim victory on state television. Through the scratched plexiglass windshield, the pilot can see the destroyer holding steady. Sailors work on deck, barely glancing up. One waves casually, like greeting tourists. That wave stings more than a missile lock. Act 5. Words versus weapons. The Iranian pilot finally keys his radio. American warship, you are approaching Iranian territorial waters. Change course immediately. His accented English crackles across the open frequency. On the Fitzgerald, the response is laughter. They've been operating in international waters all morning, and everyone knows it. Just to add insult, they have a female sailor reply. The Iranian crew wanted intimidation. Instead, they get mockery. But the Americans don't waste the opportunity. The Fitzgerald's electronic suite records every word, every frequency. No encryption, no frequency hopping. Just open chatter on civilian bands. Amateur hour. Back in the CIC, the executive officer shakes his head. The tactical action officer grins. Sir, I can tell you what the pilot had for breakfast. He's been complaining about his wife's chicken curry on Channel 16. Act 6. A network of giants. Through the magic of Link 16, the US military's encrypted digital battlefield. The Fitzgerald shares everything it sees. Think of Link 16 like a military WhatsApp group, but on steroids. Every ship, every aircraft, every missile battery in the region sees the same tactical picture in real time. So while this lone Iranian helicopter buzzes one destroyer, a cruiser 50 miles away, a carrier 200 miles out, and every plane in between all watch the comedy unfold. If this were a real fight, the helicopter wouldn't survive 5 seconds. It would be shredded 6 different ways before the pilot even knew he was under attack. But today, it's allowed to fly, allowed to talk, allowed to dig its own grave by broadcasting its weaknesses to the entire American fleet. Act 7. Falling apart. Inside the Iranian cockpit, things are going downhill fast. Fuel gauges sink into the danger zone. Oil pressure flutters. Engine temps climb. The crew chief taps the pilot's shoulder and points at the instruments. Translation. We need to leave, or this turns into a rescue mission. But before they go, one last stunt. The pilot dives again, skimming the waves, trying to look threatening. The Fitzgerald doesn't even bother to respond. Its close-in weapon system tracks the chopper automatically, barrels never even rising. Why would they? The system was built to kill supersonic missiles. Tracking this antique is like using a supercomputer to play tic-tac-toe. The Americans continue maintenance on deck. Some wave again. It's insult layered on insult. Act 8. The victory. Finally, the Fitzgerald makes a routine navigational turn. Just another waypoint adjustment. Nothing to do with the helicopter. But the Iranian pilot seizes his moment. He keys the radio, voice cracking. The American warship is retreating. We have defended our waters. Inside the Fitzgerald, laughter erupts. They know exactly how this will play on Iranian state TV. Grainy footage, dramatic music, and triumphant narration. A propaganda victory, carved out of thin air. In reality, all they did was risk an irreplaceable relic for a few sound bites. Hours later, Iranian news broadcasts the footage as proof of strength. The Americans, meanwhile, file their updated threat data and add another inside joke to tomorrow's briefing. Act 9. The bigger picture. This entire encounter lasted less than an hour, but its meaning lasts far longer. For Iran, it becomes television theater, a shaky helicopter forcing a superpower to back down. For America, it becomes a training exercise, an intelligence bonanza, and a reminder that their dominance at sea isn't just about firepower. It's about how laughably wide the gap has grown. The Iranian helicopter limps home on fumes, its crew claiming victory, its engines gasping their last. The Fitzgerald sails on, unbothered, a fortress in motion. And the world? It sees a bizarre mismatch, an antique relic trying to stare down a titan. Both sides left the encounter with exactly what they wanted. But only one side walked away stronger.